Most medical students convince themselves that if they just grind harder, they'll automatically land at the top of their class. So they force longer hours, guzzle coffee, sacrifice sleep, and live in a cycle of burnout. But when results arrive, they're stunned, because despite all that suffering, someone else who didn't even look half as stressed leaves them far behind. That person is the topper. And here's the truth most students never want to admit. The topper didn't win because they're inherently smarter. Pure intelligence or IQ plays a much smaller role than you imagine. What sets them apart is that they've unlocked a system, a study method so effective it multiplies their learning speed, while everyone else wastes energy on outdated techniques that barely work. The problem is psychological. Since childhood, you've been trained to believe that more hours automatically equals better results. Teachers, parents, and even classmates drilled this belief into you, but they never taught you the real difference between hard work and effective work. That's why when you see someone studying half the time yet scoring twice as high, your brain rejects it. It feels unfair when in reality, they simply know a method you don't. Here's the uncomfortable truth. 90% of the study advice you've been given is designed for the average student, the ones who will stay stuck memorizing slowly, repeating inefficiently, and wasting years. Think about it. Schools and universities aren't built to produce extraordinary learners. They're built to maintain a system where someone has to be at the top and someone at the bottom. If everyone suddenly learned how to absorb information 10 times faster, the grading curve would collapse. The topper's secret isn't magic. It doesn't require expensive courses or fancy note-taking apps. It's about flipping the way you approach learning, cutting out wasted hours, discarding fake productivity habits, and replacing them with mental strategies so powerful they push your brain into hyperabsorption mode. This is the state where every page sticks, recall feels natural, and you can even anticipate exam questions before they appear. But here's the catch. Once you hear this method, you can't unhear it. It permanently rewires how you view studying. You'll suddenly notice others around you wasting time, rereading notes that don't register, highlighting endlessly, repeating rituals that keep them average. And honestly, you might even feel a little sorry for them, almost. Because the topper's true edge isn't about working more, it's about working differently, using brain psychology, memory optimization, and strategic review so efficiently it feels unfair. That's also why most toppers don't share their real methods. If everyone had access to them, the advantage disappears. So before we dive in, let me warn you. What you're about to hear will shatter the way you've thought about studying your whole life. You'll start questioning every study tip you've ever been told, and once you apply this, you won't just learn faster. You'll feel your entire brain processing information in a new way. Because the real gap between a regular med student and a topper isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's method. And once you master the topper's method, you don't just compete, you dominate. Step 1. The reversal mindset. Most students keep telling themselves, I just need to work harder. But here's the harsh reality. Working harder with the wrong approach only digs you deeper. Toppers flip the process. They don't begin with notes. They begin with the outcome, asking, what will actually be tested and in what format? Then they build their study plan backward from that. This isn't laziness, it's precision. Think of building a house. Would you start stacking bricks before deciding where the walls go? Of course not. Yet that's exactly how most students study, pouring hours into random reading without identifying the high-yield points exams are designed to test. Why does this work? Because your brain is a prediction machine. It learns and retains better when it knows the why and how behind the information. When you start with the exam in mind, your brain automatically filters out low-value material and locks in only what matters. This one shift alone cuts study time in half before you even pick up a pen. Step 2. The first exposure trap. Average students waste their first read-through. They crawl through chapters, highlight lines, and trick themselves into thinking they understand. Toppers know better. They treat the first exposure not as mastery, but as mapping. They skim quickly, scanning for structure, flow, and connections. They're not memorizing yet. They're building a skeleton framework that later passes will flesh out. Why is this powerful? Because your brain doesn't store isolated facts. It stores connections. If you dump raw data into your head without a map, you'll forget it within 48 hours. But when you establish the framework first, every later detail has something to attach to, like Velcro. So toppers don't panic if they don't understand right away. They trust the second and third reviews to lock things in. Step 3. The compression effect. Average students think more notes equals more knowledge. Toppers think the exact opposite. The fewer words, the stronger the recall. Here's their system. After every study session, toppers shrink their notes. 3 pages of lecture notes become 10 bullet points. Those bullet points compress into 5 keywords. Those keywords condense into a single mental image that can trigger the whole memory chain. This works because the brain loves compact data. It's like zipping a massive file into a tiny folder that can still be unpacked instantly. Every round of compression forces the brain to link concepts tighter, making them unforgettable. Most students, unfortunately, do the reverse. They expand. They rewrite and rewrite, thinking it's review. But really, they're just burying themselves under duplicates. Toppers strip everything down until only the essentials remain, so the whole syllabus fits neatly in their mind without stress. Step 4. The active recall ritual. This is the single biggest divider between toppers and everyone else. Average students reread notes, feel familiar, and mistake that familiarity for mastery. Toppers, on the other hand, test themselves before they feel ready. Active recall means forcing your brain to produce the answer from scratch, without cues. This struggle wires the memory permanently. After finishing a topic, toppers close the book and write out everything they remember. At first, it's uncomfortable and slow, but with time, recall speed skyrockets. That's why in exams, toppers don't freeze. Their brain is already trained to retrieve under pressure. While average students only recognize answers when they see them, toppers can deliver answers without hints. Step 5. Time decay. Exploitation. Forgetting isn't failure, it's biology. But toppers don't resist it, they use it. They don't review constantly like most students. Instead, they schedule revisions to sync with the forgetting curve. Memory is strongest right after studying, then drops quickly, then slowly. If you review right before forgetting, you refresh with maximum efficiency. Toppers follow intervals like 1 day later, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, and so on. This way, their whole syllabus stays alive in their memory without overload. Average students either review too soon, wasting time, or too late, relearning from scratch. Toppers hit the sweet spot: quick, sharp, and permanent reinforcement. Step 6. The emotional hook. Here's the secret most students completely miss. Your brain is emotional before it's logical. Attach emotion to a concept and it sticks harder. Toppers don't study dry facts. They create vivid associations, mental stories, bizarre images, even funny scenes. For example, instead of rote memorizing cranial nerves, they imagine each nerve as a character in a crazy movie scene. That mental story becomes the hook that locks the fact in place. That's why toppers recall even obscure details with ease. They've tied information to emotional anchors, while everyone else only tied it to repetition. Final impact. The topper's blueprint. When you combine all 6, reversal mindset, first exposure mapping, compression, active recall, spaced review, and emotional hooks, you create a study system so powerful it feels unfair. Study hours shrink, retention skyrockets, and exam confidence soars. And here's the irony. Once you master this, you'll realize toppers weren't born brilliant. They just discovered the system earlier. And now, you have it too. This isn't the study hard and succeed myth you were fed. This is the exact blueprint toppers use to dominate exams without burning out on 14-hour days. So ask yourself, how many years have you already wasted grinding the slow way? How many nights did you stay up thinking you were making progress when in reality you were just spinning your wheels? If you're honest, you'll realize you may have worked harder than some toppers, yet gotten half the results. That should sting a little. Because the education system doesn't care about teaching you how to learn. It just dumps content, ranks you, and leaves you to sink or swim. Toppers aren't lucky. They aren't born with superior brains. They simply found the loopholes early. And now, you've been handed those same loopholes. So here's your choice. You can close this video, nod, and go back to the same exhausting, outdated method. Or you can apply this for the next 7 days and see how different your brain feels when it finally works at full capacity. And when you do, you'll notice something. Your classmates will start asking, "How are you remembering so much?" Or, "How are you finishing early?" And then you'll face a decision. Do you share the truth or keep it as your unfair edge? Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these steps hit you the hardest? The reversal mindset, the compression effect, or realizing you've been reviewing at the wrong times all along? Drop it in the comments. Tell me what you're changing starting today. Because if you don't commit now, this will just be another motivational moment you forget in 2 days. But if you act, this will be the moment everything changes.